This video message is for President Donald Trump. My name is Hershey Rajaram, and I'm reaching out to you today to see if you would be willing to help me with a couple of issues that I've been dealing with since the Biden administration about a few years ago. The first order of business is that with my previous employer by the name of PHEAA. They handle American Education Services, student loans, and at some point they handled Fed loan servicing for the Department of Education. Back in 2019, when I began my career there, I was under the supervisor by the name of John Carter, and I had little to no issues whatsoever. During DEI, in the better part of June of 2021, I was switched over to a supervisor by the name of Jose Cendeno. Very early on, I realized that his managerial style was very different and very unprofessional. Some of the things that he would subject me to would be violating FDCPA laws knowingly and willingly. When accounts were current, I was still required to call on current accounts and do follow-up work. I also had an approved ADA accommodation related to my cerebral palsy condition that he would constantly question me about using my accommodation even though I was using it appropriately. He requested screenshots of me proving that I followed up on the accounts when doing follow-ups, and requested photos of myself for the team's chat for him to see, which were not company policy. Those were his policies within the company. Another big issue that I had with him was that he was very unprofessional within the team's chat as far as discussions that would be had there. One of the co-workers that came with me in transferring over to him from my first team thought it would be funny to make kill threats. Now keep in mind, there is no cameras on the collection floor within PHEAA. So it's basically word of mouth, witnesses, things like that. I also cannot physically defend myself. There were 2 kill threats made within 3 weeks. It got to the point where I really did not feel comfortable going to work. I reported things to security, I reported it to management, I reported it to my coworkers, I reported it to wherever I needed to the point where during a DEI training of if you see something, say something and do something about it, literally, I was in the middle of DEI training, I reached out to a supervisor and I was told to file a complaint and write up a letter, and that's what I did. And I was writing it to his boss, Teresa Clancy. I had the meeting with Teresa Clancy over the phone, and with everything I provided to her, I was sure that with everything that I had told her that I had been going through with this supervisor, that I was going to be moved. However, that is not the case. I was basically told that I could not be moved simply because I did not like my supervisor, and that my reaction to this coworker's kill threat was the fact, not that I was afraid that he actually might carry out a kill threat, but that I was merely offended. I was basically beside myself and I didn't know what to do. So in response to that, this was also during the last push under the Biden administration to get vaccinated. I went and got the Moderna vaccine about 2 weeks later, and I never went back to work because I nearly died about 5 days after that. I had severe adverse reactions within minutes of taking the vaccine, and my life has never been the same ever since. Within that time of me trying to kind of recover, PHEAA basically stonewalled me. Upper management didn't really reach out, say anything. I heard maybe a couple things from HR or Jose's supervisor within the first couple of days, and then that was it. They basically left me alone outside of maybe a few communications regarding FMLA. After that, I really tried to fight my case through workman's comp I failed. I tried to get an extension through FMLA. I was not told in the beginning that I did not qualify because of my status as an employee. And they pushed out firing me. I should have been fired based off of not being on FMLA or qualifying around the 24th of January of 2022. However, I was not fired until the 1st of March of 2022. And I was fired by none other than my abuser, Jose Cendeno. This caused me to be late on my rent and late on getting back on SSDI benefits. I know that you have done amazing, wonderful things for people in similar situations, such as the space commander that was fired for pushing back on DEI. You gave him a job, and I know that I believe it was Marjorie Taylor Greene questioned the former director of the Secret Service in regards to your assassination. The first assassination attempt back in July 13th of 2024, about what constitutes as a threat. Because let me tell you something, with my cerebral palsy, I can't defend myself. I had to choose between being close to an exit or close to a restroom. It's a really long building. I did everything I thought I should have done, and I was failed big time, and it got me hurt. And it didn't need to. I spent a lot of money in transportation. On average, I would spend $600 a month on Uber or bus rides, whatever I needed to do to get there. And I would work hard when I got there because, it was worth it. I contributed to American society, and I loved having a job. I don't have any family. I'm estranged from my mother, have been for many years. My father is deceased. So when I came home injured and in my condition, it was all me. I know also that a few months prior to me being injured, I knew another distant coworker that had an apartment fire. And when that happened, everybody rallied around her to take care of her and to donate to her and give a GoFundMe, even some bigwigs in the company. However, when I got injured, that's not what happened. I was basically stonewalled and left to act like I didn't exist. And so it has been very difficult for me to wrap my head around where I'm at now. There's a big part of me that's still stuck in October of 2021 when all of this happened. And like I said, it is due to failed DEI procedures, because when DEI first rolled out, it was rolled out in such a way that made it seem as though it was to keep people more safe than what they were. It wasn't this crazy bullshit that it morphed into the last 3 years. I mean, it really was just packaged differently. So when it said, if you see something, say something and do something about it, I took it as my sign to take that seriously, and I did just that, and they failed. And I don't know. I really don't know what to say, Trump. I mean, what do you say to that? Like, the way that I see it is, if you told PHEAA about how you felt about the assassination attempt on your life, they'd laugh in your face. They would think it was an absolute joke. Because when kill threats were made at my job, that's how people took it, as a joke. As if I was just taking things too seriously. And now look at where I'm at. And I don't know what to do. I need help. I can't get a doctor to see me and take my situation seriously at all. Of course, I'm sure you know that, because you've got RFK Jr. in there going after Big Pharma, which I'm very excited about. So congratulations to your cabinet. But I need help in regards to potentially, circling back and getting some sort of vindication or restitution regarding that. I don't know what you can do, but I know you can do something, because you've helped so many people. The next order of business I want to address is that of my current apartment complex that I've been living at for 8 years now. It is under the company name of the Apartment Gallery. I've lived here since 2016, and shortly after moving in, I had fallen on their ramp outside of my building. So I had requested to make like a makeshift dirt ramp outside of my patio, and there was no issues. They didn't ask for anything specifically from a doctor, and there was no issues for the better part of 6 years. I didn't have any issues from my previous neighbor of just taking my walker in between the cars. It was a safe way out if there was inclement weather and snowed and I didn't want to fall. However, in May of 2023, I got into it with my neighbor when he parked his car in such a way that went over the line and I couldn't use my safe path out of my apartment. I asked him to kindly move his car, and he basically got his panties in a knot, and it caused me to have to reach out to the apartments. But when I did, they basically sided with this person, and I believe it has to do with them misusing their military status. And I basically ended up getting into a situation where I had to file my first HUD complaint to get an ADA accommodation for what I needed. One of those things as well was that they refused to refund me the $300 pet deposit for my emotional support animal, so I had to put that as part of my case. And I also had to request a parking spot that lined up with my path, even though I don't drive a car, just so I had, a regular spot to get out. And so that took longer than it needed to. It could have been resolved literally a day after it was filed because of how certain things moved along and moved aside, but the apartment manager did not want to do that. They basically went back and forth with my first HUD representative by the name of Jerome Van Epps. And let me tell you something, if you have not fired that rat bastard, please fire him, because I was basically doing his job for him to a T. I can prove it. I've got the receipts. I've got a lot of receipts, guys. And nonetheless, I won my case. It could have been wrapped up around the middle of September of 2023. However, it did not wrap up until the 1st of March 2024. The case ruled in my favor, and then about 6 to 6.5 months later, I was given a 60-day non-renewal of my lease letter, basically telling me I had to move out in retaliation to that. And this case is still ongoing. If it does not go in my favor, then I risk being homeless. I risk being homeless for absolutely no reason at all. I've dealt with them threatening me and trying to use my pet deposit fee basically as leverage in my first case. These apartments also pick and choose what they charge and what they don't and to whom, and they make tenants financially responsible for repairs of their property that shouldn't be. They don't give accurate notices when they should, and I've seen abuse towards staff. Between their few properties within this region, they have about 5 or 6 people. They do not keep people. They don't treat them right either, and they don't document things when they should. And if they do, there's a lot of details that are left out or they don't stick to it. These are things that have not just happened to me, but this, the bulk of the case and the ADA accommodation, that has to do with myself. And like I said, this initially was brought on by a military service member in the Army, which I have never dealt with such disrespect from a military service member. So right now, this has got me at a point where I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't trust HUD whatsoever. After that first representative that I've had, I'm very, very apprehensive that the new representative that I have is going to do everything that they can for me to get the restitution that I need. and to fight for me appropriately. I've also been told that if I'm going to sue for the issue as a whole, that I need a private lawyer. However, unfortunately, being on SSDI income, I make too much for a legal aid lawyer, but I make not enough to get a big firm, law firm to represent me. So I don't know what can be done, but I know something can be done, Trump. I'm even willing to come and stay at one of your properties. I know that, you're a generous person. So many people have already reached out to you in the past and you've helped them. And I'm reaching out to see what you can do for me. Now, I'm trying to keep this video to a minimum. I know that I'm kind of going over what I said I would. I was trying to keep it within 10 minutes. And that didn't happen. But these situations are big, okay? This is a situation I have against PHEAA. I've been fighting it. I fought it. I lost. Okay? This is the situation that I have against my apartment complex, and it's growing. And I'm still fighting it. I'm not so much asking for a handout as much as I'm asking for help. I don't know what you can do, but I know you can do something. And Trump, I'm not going to stop until I hear from you or somebody in your cabinet that says they are going to help. Because I need it. I'm in the process of trying to heal. And yet I'm being put in a position that I need to fight for myself. And I understand you're trying to make America great again, and the streets great again. You're trying to make schools great again. Don't forget to try and make corporate America great again. Because as much as you're trying to get people back to work and out of their homes and doing what they can to contribute to society, please make sure that they're going into workforces that are safe. Because I thought I was going into a workforce that was safe, and I was wrong. And now I'm reaching out to you for help. So, I don't know what else I could say. I don't want to drag this video out any longer. I am going to put some links down below to each situation that I've mentioned has a longer video going into more detail. So if you could just please take some time out of your day to have somebody in your cabinet, or even you, if you get some spare time at some point, to go over these videos, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to be looking forward to hearing back from you. And I just want to take the time to thank you for helping me and for caring about my situation and for doing all that you can to make America great again. I appreciate it.